Why did Genshin become so popular? What made this award-winning game so well known throughout the whole world? That's what I'm gonna answer, or at least try to answer. Give you some reasons, and hopefully it makes sense. Because I don't know everything. And well, I have been playing Genshin for 2.5 years. Pretty much. Maybe close to it. That's a long time. 2.5 years of my life wasted. Well, that's fun. Genshin. Popularity. Let's get into it. The first point was that Genshin released in the middle of the pandemic, and we all know that people stayed inside during the pandemic, and that drove a lot of people to video games. Now, there's still the issue though. A lot of people were playing video games, but there's a lot of video games out there. It's not only Genshin. So what made Genshin stand above the rest? The first one is that Genshin is beautiful. The moment you load into the game, you can see amazing graphics. The environment is amazing. Open world as well, combined with amazing graphics, that's a recipe for success. Granted, there were a lot of open world games. Even now, there's a lot of open world games. Just recently, Elden Ring and God of War were pretty much the titans of the past year. Now, Elden Ring and God of War weren't the best games because they were open world. There's a lot more that made them so good. But it is still a fact that they're open world, and open world games are usually successful. A lot of AAA games are open world, and the trend doesn't seem to be going away. And Genshin is also open world, which is part of its success because it gives you a sense of freedom. And in the open world of Genshin, there are kind of things to do. There's always enemies you can fight, things to explore, kind of forced to explore for Prima Gems. So you get to appreciate Genshin's world, whether you like it or not, because one day you're going to be forced to explore because you ran out of Prima Gems and you need to pull for your main, C6 them, get their weapon or something. You got to do everything you can, right? I relate. I don't know if that's good. Speaking of aesthetics, we have the characters. The characters are also beautiful. A lot of them are designed well, some more so than others. Bennett has some drip issues. Not his fault though. Well, maybe it's part of his personality, but Bennett's drip sucks. And then you have Yolan's haircut, which is kind of weird, but you know, whatever suits her. They have burst animations that are cool looking. At least the 5 stars do. 4 stars, they also look great. And most importantly, all the characters have a personality. They have their own lore, their own backstory. Other gacha games are collectors as well. They also have stories for their characters, but I don't think they're as in-depth as Genshin. Genshin has a very in-depth lore for all their characters. More so for 5-star characters than 4-star characters, but that's a given. But the 5-star characters, they have their own story quests, and they're also weaved into the Archon quests. So you know a lot about them. Their backstory, their current struggles, dead friends, siblings, they're just dead. A lot of death, but it's still lore. And then we move on to another part of the characters as well, gameplay. Each character feels unique in their combat. Speaking of combat, the combat in Genshin is great. It's simple on the outside, but really in-depth on the inside. Now, that was pre-Dendro. Dendro kind of makes it more complicated with like the 10 billion reactions it has. But even so, it's kind of easy to understand. Water plus fire equals vape. Right, that makes sense. Melt, that's also pretty straightforward. I got sidetracked for a bit talking about the combat system, but back to the combat of characters. Burst animation's great, like I said before. They have unique skills, talents, kind of unique. Xingqiu Yalan, they're still different. They have like a lot of similarities more than just combat, but yeah. I mean, yeah. But overall speaking, each character has its own unique thing that they should excel at. They don't necessarily excel at, but they should excel. So like Dea. Now this last point I'm gonna bring up is mobile. Genshin released on all platforms, PC, console, mobile. And I think mobile is the biggest one because mobile reaches a wide variety of players. A lot of people have phones, and if you have a phone, you can play Genshin. Now back then when Genshin first released, it was a relatively big game, and people downloaded it, and then as time went on, it took up all of your storage. But people were ready to invest in the game to delete it, so now they're still playing it. But back then, it wasn't too big of a storage issue, so people downloaded it. It was accessible on your phone, combined with open world. Still pretty good graphics on the phone, though it does overheat your phone most of the time. But it's still good graphics, and that brought a lot of people to the game because not everybody has a console, or not everybody has a PC. Because not everybody has a console or a PC, Or maybe they do have one, but they need to play Genshin on the go because they're traveling or they're at work or school, and then just playing Genshin because they needed to spend their resin because their resin was going to be capped back when it was 120 and not 160. Good times, good times. But mobile brought a huge influx of players to the game. And that's why Genshin became so popular, I think, because it was a good mobile game.
And the game award goes to Genshin Impact.
The mobile gaming scene isn't too, let's say, great. You had maybe like the Supercell games like Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, all that stuff, and Candy Crush, I guess. So not many games. All the mobile games that you see are like rip-off scams that you see on like Instagram ads or something. And Genshin took advantage of that and garnered a lot of players from mobile. All in all, Genshin is popular for a lot of different reasons. Right place, right time, market, all that stuff. It's a good game. Besides gacha, if there was no gacha, it would be an actually good game. Kind of. I mean, recently but overall, it's a good game. Just without gacha. Genshin popular. But that's about it. All right. Bye-bye. Stay addicted.